My name's Dale and I work for Springfield Properties. My role is PR coordinator, so I'm part of the marketing team, and it's my job to circulate news stories to shout about all the great things that Springfield are doing. And a typical working day, I'll be liaising with other departments to find out what's going on in the company. Are we submitting planning in a new area? I find out what's happening on our housing developments. I speak with sales to see whether or not we've got an exciting new property for sale, or whether or not we are down to the last one on a different development, because that's all exciting things to shout about. Do we have a new show home? So we've got some really nice glossy luxury photos to share. So it's important for me to speak to lots of different departments to find out what's going on. I then take that information and I work closely with our PR agency, and I then write these stories depending on the audience, and have them signed off for circulation. Writing is something I've always enjoyed, it's something I've always been good at, and I like the challenges that it presents. So with all kinds of communication, not just writing, but all kinds of communication, you need to think about who are you writing to? Who's going to be reading this? Who's going to be listening to it? Who's going to be watching what you're producing? And where are they likely to be doing it? Are they likely to be reading the newspaper on the train? Are they likely to be listening to a podcast? How are they going to be absorbing the information that you're giving them? Whoever the audience, you adapt what words you use, what type of language you use, because it's important that they fully understand what you're communicating. So that there'll be certain terminology that we use in the construction industry that isn't going to be understood out with that industry. And it'll be the same with other industries as well. There'll be certain terms that they use that everybody in that industry understands, but I might not, because I'm not in their industry. And that's the same with everything. So it's important that you tailor your language so that you aren't using jargon, so that anybody can read what you're writing without difficulty. How are they going to be absorbing the information that you're putting out there? Will they be reading it? Will they be listening to it? Will they be watching it online? That depends on how you deliver the message that you're trying to deliver. It's something that I read up on heavily before I did a talk last year. You need to speak at such a pace, and I'm now very consciously doing it. You need to speak at such a pace that it sounds slow to you. But that's the way in something like a video. Sorry, that's my emails just going there. That's the way in something like a video. It is easier for the viewer to absorb. I'm quite bad at talking really quickly, and then that's all very well and good in a conversation, maybe not great in a conversation, but in something like a video, that isn't going to cut it. Confidence plays a big part in my day-to-day job. Even the little things like answering the phone, that can be a bit nerve-wracking sometimes when you're not used to it, when you're new to it. Or even speaking up in meetings. When I first started at Springfield, I didn't really enjoy speaking up in a meeting of 10, 15 different people, all senior members of staff that had been doing the job for such a long time. I was always nervous about sharing my ideas. What if they weren't good enough? I was very fortunate that my manager at the time recognised that this wasn't something I felt overly comfortable with. So she made me do it more. And that's the best way to get over something. If you're nervous about putting your hand up in class and answering a question, make sure you do it once or twice a day, every day. And over time, it'll become second nature. Over time, it'll not matter whether or not you get the answer wrong, because then you're learning. So confidence is a big part of the workplace. Regardless of what you do, you need to have that self-assurance, that confidence in yourself that I'm here to do this job and I am good at what I do. When you start at Springfield, you go on an induction, and as part of that induction you sit down with the Springfield chairman, Sandy Adam, and he said something in mine. He probably says it in everyone's, to be fair, but he said something in mine that stuck with me. He said that you spend more time at work than you do anywhere else, so it's important to enjoy what you do and enjoy the company of the people that you're working with. Your team in any industry, not just at Springfield, is so vital. They are the springboard for your brainstorming and your ideas. You might have a part of an idea, but it's not quite refined, it's not quite perfected, but someone else in the team might have that missing piece to make it a phenomenal idea. And it's important to, you could start with something that you think, this isn't the best idea, but let's sound this out, let's see where this goes. And from your discussion, by the end of it, you've gone in a completely different direction, but you've solved the problem that you were looking to fix when you first started the conversation. And you get things done faster. As an individual, it's impossible to do everything yourself. And by working as a team, somebody can work on the graphics for something, somebody else can work on the text for something, somebody else can be doing the digital adverts, all for the same message, but it means that you get more done in the same time frame, and that in a business is so valuable. For press within Springfield, it is so important that I can rely on other departments, other people to feed through information. It is not possible for me to be able to know off the top of my head when a certain development is going to go on sale, or when we can expect planning for another site, or when we're submitting a planning application for another. You can pick up the phone and phone somebody in the land team and get a run through of what's happening, or what we can expect to happen in the next month, so that when it comes to writing a press story about it or a reactive press comment about it, I've had as much notice as I can. And this goes both ways. It's important to be flexible. If somebody needs something short notice, then move what you can, do what you can to help them where you possibly can, because in a few weeks' time you could be in their position where you need something very quickly and they're the person that needs to help you. When it comes to planning my week, I need to be aware that I'm not going to achieve everything that's on that list, which sounds bizarre because what's the point in having a to-do list if you're not going to get through it all? But when you're working with the press, they have very tight deadlines and things crop up at very short notice. So I might have on my to-do list a certain number of press releases to get through, or planning for a press release in a few weeks' time, for example, and then we get approached by the Press and Journal for a comment on something or other that's happening in the area. So that then takes priority. And I'm certain that must be the case in many industries. You need to be able to replan and adapt very quickly. So flexibility is not just key when it comes to the working world, it's also key when it comes to the planning your own workload, your own diary. And part of that comes down to problem solving. Okay, so I've now got 3 deadlines in the next 2 days. How do I get past this? Which one is likely to take the longest? Which one's going to be problematic, for example? I get that one done first because that's the one that's going to hit issues when it comes to sign off. But there's also where you can rely on your team. Is there something that somebody else could pick up? So if it's planning Instagram posts, somebody else in the team would be able to do that so that I can focus on this deadline. I hope this has been informative for you and hopefully a little bit enjoyable to watch. I'll add one piece of advice that I wish I'd had when I was your age, or at least I wish I'd listened to when I was your age, and that is to step outside of your comfort zone. Developing your confidence is vital to grow personally and professionally. So you'll look back and you'll be thankful that you've done that at such a young age. So thank you for listening, and I hope this helps.